Hi, everyone. I am LaurieAnn. I am that gal from Milton, Ontario, Canada, and I am with.
I am that guy. I am Roy Miller from Dallas, Texas, and we would like to welcome you to our Lift Your Story podcast.
So we're pleased at this episode. We have Vanessa. And can you tell me your last name just so I don't mess it up?
Zamy, Vanessa Zamy.
Thank you. And she's a business expert, keynote speaker, and best-selling author. We're very pleased to have you here, Vanessa. Thank you.
Yes.
Happy to be here. Thank you for having me. Yes.
So, Vanessa, I understand you're an engineer.
Yeah, well, by training. In practice, I'm not. Yeah, by training, I'm an engineer. In real life, I do strategy and operations for companies and including small businesses. Yeah.
What type of engineer are you?
It's industrial engineer is what they call it. When other colleges, the college I went to, it's like a management science and engineering is the official term. But industrial engineer would be kind of what the other.
Okay, great. So you're the analytical type.
You can say that, yes.
So what led you into writing a book?
Oh, yes, where to begin? So essentially, and for those who are listening, so my book is Finished, The Solopreneur's Guide to Getting Stuff Done. It's available as an ebook on Amazon. And I wrote that book back in 2019. Essentially, what inspired me, I'll start with what the book is about. So the book is, for people who, that solopreneur, that ambitious solopreneur, who they're trying to make that business happen and things just, they're not hitting that to-do list, right? And whether it be that they're, working through a apparel business, or they're trying to build up a podcast or an event planning or whatever it is they're doing, there's so much to do and they're not doing it. And essentially that book is, what inspired me to write that book is that throughout my life, peers throughout, have always asked me, Vanessa, how do you do it? And, when they asked that question, I never quite understood how to, I didn't quite understand, okay, what are they asking me? What do they want? I could see that they were searching for an answer, but I couldn't really say what I was just like, what do you act? How do I do it? How do I do what? Right. And so this has been going on for many, many years. I mean, even back from middle school all the way through corporate life. And so how do you do it? And then finally, essentially in 2019, I realized what it is that people were asking me. I finally realized, okay, when people are asking me, how do I do it? They're asking me, okay, how do I get things done? How do I accomplish my goals? How do I, it's a good thing with the book example where I just hey, I have a book. It's how in the world do you get that done? Right? But essentially it's kind of just how do I get things done in my life and achieve my goals? And that's pretty much what people are asking me. And so this book was written as a way to answer that question for my peers and also other people. So it's a nonfiction self-help book, and it's pretty much going through project management and self-management tips and tools that I've used throughout my life. And it's one of those things where I use it naturally. For me, it just came to me naturally. I was just what are people talking about? And then finally, when I wrote the book, I was oh, okay. Not only, I was one, I understand what people are talking about. And two, I get what's the difference between how it is that, why is it that I have friends who keep talking about stuff and not taking action versus I take action. And not only do I take action, but I also get it done. I cross the finish line too. So yeah, that's pretty much what the book gets into. Examples from there and a 6-step process that other people can do to teach themselves and move forward. Yeah.
It's interesting you mentioned project management, because really that goes so much into your daily life, because you got those deadlines, you've got these steps, you've got these, plans you've got to formulate to get things done. And, that's really because I was a project manager, so I know all about that.
Yeah.
And people don't really realize that. I mean, because people ask you, well, what's the project manager? And I said, I solve problems all day and answer questions. Yep. That's all I do.
Indeed.
I answer questions and solve problems. That's all I do. And that's really all I did.
Precisely. Yeah. Problem solvers, right? It's you have a plan, but then as we know, for those who are listening, who have lived life, plans don't work out the way you set them out to. So you always got to figure something out, try something new. And that's what, entrepreneurship and is all about too, as well. So it's great. Amazing. So yeah.
Yeah. Because if plan A don't work, you've got to be able to.
Yep. So
indeed.
I have a question as well. So when you're helping people, you were saying about the 9 to 5 and trying to transition. That's a tough thing for a lot of people, because you're really working, well, two jobs, although the other one that you're doing afterwards is not a job because it's something you generally are passionate about. How have you found that to be for people, that transition?
Yes. And so in terms of, so I coach, consult, and advise 9-to-5ers on how to build their profit producing, purpose driven business, even with a demanding day job. And the reason why I focus on that population is because, I mean, that is a difficult step, right? And it's one of those things where if you don't navigate it well, it could end up leading that person to say, you know what? Let me just stick to the corporate ladder. Let me just stick to this corporate life, even though they're miserable, even though they know that they hate it, even though they have that bad boss or whatever it is that's going on, right? But essentially, it's like because they don't know how to of making the business happen, or they don't, it just becomes so much more difficult when it's like, okay, well, I have this other thing that's actually giving me money, right? Like I have this day job that's giving me money versus this job that's a passion, this side business that's a passion. Don't have money yet, but I will one day, but I don't know when. And I'm just doing this work and nothing's working. I don't understand. Oh my goodness. And then quit, right? And so I try to prevent people from doing that. And because there is the different parts that go into it, but essentially my whole practice is all about efficiency and effectiveness. So getting people to understand efficient and effective strategies in a way that they can take care of their business, but also take care of themselves. And so essentially it's all about, and doing that one with time management, I put that in quotes because I have a whole philosophy on that word doesn't exist, but essentially time management, marketing, sales, and how do you do that efficiently and effectively for you and what it is that you can handle, right? Because also some people, not only do they have a day job and this business, they also have a family and, they have a spouse, then they have, and it's sort of like this business that you want to do, it's tied to your purpose. That it's going to make you like Mondays again, but how do you devote this time and energy to this extra thing that's adding to your life, but it's not, it's adding to the spiritual part of your life, but it's not adding any money, at least in the beginning, right, to your life. And part of it essentially comes into how do you make it work and how do you make it happen? Because it is something that is meant to happen, right? It is clearly tied to your purpose. It's clearly tied to something that, you're meant to do. And so what reason why I started Your Business Catalyst, my consulting company for new entrepreneurs, is to ensure that people do not give up, right? And to ensure that how do we make, like, even if you have 5 hours a week or you have 20 hours a week, right? It's how do you ensure that you optimizing every hour that you have to get done what you need to get done, right? So for example, one client, I actually talked to a client this morning and, we're talking about her launch for her new business. And, she's talking about this whole website that she's building, all this other stuff. And I was like, you don't need this website right now. What you need is a landing page. You just need this funnel, right? To get people from point A to point B, right? Yes, you can work on the website, but don't worry about that for your launch, right? And so it's one of those things where it's just how do you get to underwhelming the overwhelm is what I do. I underwhelm people's overwhelm by giving them an efficient and effective list of things that they need really to do to get moving forward and what it is that they want to do. So yeah.
Well, yeah, it's great that you mentioned overwhelm because that is so true because people, they want to do all this stuff. I want to know how to do this. And, I want to learn how to build a website. It may take them 6 months to do that where they could have paid somebody a couple $100. They could have got a website up and don't even worry about it. It's that focus on that productive thing you need to do at this time, and that's that time management right now is what I'm doing, moving me closer to my goal.
That's really what it is. Yeah. And I think it's one of those things where I remember one time asking someone, oh, what'd you do today? Until they, they're telling me, Vanessa, I did I did this thing for my website. I did this thing for my business. I did this other thing. I messaged these people. I did all and listen to all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, what did you do towards your goals, right? What you're trying to increase your sales by 30%. What did you do towards that? Silence. Nothing but silence. They're like, well, what did I do? Right. And it's very much like people are just trying to be, busy has become like a trend word. Like, I'm busy. And it's like, that's not cute. Like, unless you are moving forward in your goals, then your busyness means absolutely nothing. Like, it is something maybe you can put a little badge of honor amongst your busy friends. You could be like, I'm busier than you. No, I'm busier than you. That might be a fun little game you play. But unless you're moving forward in life, unless you're trying to make something happen for yourself, it's just not worth it, right? And let's say you're working on your business, for example, to get money for your college kids, for your kids' college tuition. Or let's say you're working on your business to retire your spouse, right? If you were saying, okay, well, what did you do to move forward in your business? And you're saying like nothing. It's like, okay, well, guess those goals aren't going to happen, right? Guess that house you're saving up for is not going to be bought, right? And so it's like, instead of being busy, how about you try to be productive, try to see what it is, try to move forward in your goals, right? Try to take action that is necessary and going to be effective for what it is that you want to do.
Yeah, there's a big difference between busy and productive.
Yes, there is. Yes,
People,
there is.
People confuse the idea that, well, I'm doing this, so I'm busy doing this, but it's not productive. It's just busy.
Exactly.
And
It's kind of, I think of it like, even if you're a 9-to-5 or listening to this, right? It's like the work that your boss gives you just to be this, so you can, like, the busy work, right? It's just like, oh, I'm just doing this busy work, right? And it's like, it's not fun. No, like, it's not getting you anywhere. You're kind of just like, why am I doing this work? And that's kind of how some people are treating their lives. It's just like busy work, so to speak.
Yeah,
we were talking about that too, where you make lists this long and you never get to any of it. You just turn on Netflix and watch it because you don't want to get started on this because of the overwhelm. And you're very right. Yeah. Here you have probably 8 hours of work listed, whereas really probably only 2 hours of that is meaningful and going to take you to where you need to go to. So I like that you managed to do that. Chunk it down.
Yeah. Indeed. A big part of it is focus, right? A big part of it is also just like focus, right? And it's, okay, you have your long list. That's nice. What are you going to focus on first, right? And so if there's so many things you can get done in life, so many things you can get done, around the house, around your business, etc. But what is your focus, right? I think even just like a simple example of people, new entrepreneurs had this whole thing, all the things on webs, like, oh, you must do all social media. So they get on LinkedIn, they get on TikTok, they get a Snapchat, they get a Facebook, they get an Instagram, they get a Twitter, they get a, am I missing one? And then it's just like, they're trying to do all the things. And it's like, you just focus on one platform, right? Focus on one set of things, right? And just streamline it, right? Streamline your life. So, yeah.
So social media is nice, it's helpful, but it's also a big rabbit hole.
Indeed.
If you're not careful.
Indeed.
All of a sudden, 3 hours have gone by. And you go, what? I can't believe I've been on Facebook for 3 hours. It does. It really is.
It does. Yeah. It can indeed. Yeah. And,
I have a timer for me. 1 hour it goes, you've been on for an hour. And you go, really? But at least it's warning me, because if I don't have that, it'll be 3 hours. I go, oh.
Yeah, that's smart. That is smart. Yeah. Having that timer, setting those time like blocks, right? Where it's like, when are you going to be on Facebook? And then do something else, right? Yeah.
Well, it's funny you mention that, because I learned about time blocking, and you're talking about focus. Okay, so for me, if I say I'm going to do this for an hour, that's all I'm going to focus on. No distractions. So I'll go in, I'll get a timer, and I'll set it for an hour. And then I'll do whatever it is I need to do for an hour. Nothing else, just that. And then I'll get up, maybe go get a drink of water, use the bathroom, walk around for a few minutes. Then I'll come back and say, okay, now I need to focus on this. Do the same thing. And I found for me, I do get a lot more done because I don't get distracted. I'm only on one thing for 1 hour, and that's it. So, for me, that works. May not work for everybody else, but it's helped me a lot, a whole lot.
Yeah, I've heard about time blocking this past year in terms of like, I know it's a thing that people are talking about, but yeah, it does help some people in terms of, it's a great way, especially if you're feeling like you're spending the 3 hours on Facebook or whatever it is you're spending on, right? And if you feel as though time is like getting away from you, time blocking is a great way to like intentionally, set the time, right? And I talk about in terms of, like, when I think about like time, I think time is my best friend, and we have a great friendship together, the two of us, me and time. And the way I navigate it is, for me, it's, that's how I sort of teach my clients too. It's like, how do you befriend time, and to ensure that you are making room for your business and also for yourself and also for other things that you have going on in life, right? And key principles, like one of that is like, you need to be selfish. Another part of that is optimistic realism. Another part of that I have is that time management doesn't exist. It's just like we don't have a remote control. Roy has 24 hours, LaurieAnn has 24 hours, I have 24 hours, right? And so the concept of, it's just a matter of what do you do with those 24 hours, right? And time blocking is a great way for you to consider, right? Okay, 12 hours is this, 2 hours is that, 8 hours of sleeping, and all that stuff, depending on what it is that you're doing, right? And so I think it's a great strategy as well too that, people can use. So, yeah.
And time can also be more important than money. You can get more money You can't get more time.
You can't. Yeah, it's a
If you
finite.
waste 8 hours, it's gone forever. If you waste $80, you can get your $80 back eventually.
Indeed. Indeed. That is true. That is true. Some might be listening and they might be like, but what if I had two $80? Like what if I had like the $80 times two? You know? But yes, but you can definitely get the money back, but you can't get your time back, right? Once yesterday is gone, yesterday is gone.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
and which is like, you know, but and it's great because it's one of those things where, okay, yesterday's gone, yesterday happened, and there's something like with my clients in my program that I have, you know, I'll do like every week, I sort of give them questions to think through. And one set of the questions is like, okay, last week happened, that was last week, take that, learn from it. Now you got this week, right? You have today, you have tomorrow, you have the day after. So what are you going to do differently, right? Let's say you weren't productive last week, right? Maybe, you know, something happened, you were down, maybe you got the virus or something like that, right? And you know, whatever happened, but now today's today, right? And you were here today. So what are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
Right? Are you going to move forward in your purpose? Are you going to move forward in your goals? Are you going to move forward in what it is that you know you can achieve? Well,
I'm just listening to you talk. I feel pretty confident that you're big on accountability with your people.
Oh, yes. I am indeed. It's a big part of what I do. Yeah, checking in with them. I just said project management, you know, checking in with them, like, and just saying, hey, what's up? How's it going? You know, you mentioned, I remember I had this one client, for example, where so we had chatted, she had some new leads, and I was like, okay, great. Like, this is how you handle them, like message them this way. This is it, right? These people, don't worry about them too much. You know, this like segmenting, you know, her customers and her leads. And she got like this big sale for a big, you know, her largest project. She's a digital marketing consultant, and she had the largest project sell, right? And the reason why she's working on business actually is because she has 4-year-old twin daughters and her husband, and she's essentially in her mind, and she works as a project manager actually full time. So she actually her 9 to 5 is actually project management. So even if you're a project manager, you still might need someone to help keep you accountable. But essentially, yeah. So her main job is project management, and she's working on this business, so digital marketing consultancy, to show her daughters, hey, you don't have to just live the corporate ladder life, right? That there's another option for you if you want to, right? When it comes to living your life, right? So that's sort of the reason why she's doing this. So then she told us largest package, right? It was great, wonderful. November off to a great start. Then I hadn't heard from her in like 2 weeks, and I was like, like, oh, hello, what's up? How's it going? Okay, she responds like a couple of days later. And I was like, okay, I want to set up time, and then she like schedules time for like 3 weeks afterwards. And I'm like, okay. And then like, okay, well, I want to maybe something happened to her. Maybe she's on vacation. I don't know. We get on the phone. And first of all, and then she tells me, okay, she had this, you know, the person, you know, bought her largest package. She had existing clients. She's working on their work. And then she told me she spent all of November not doing any marketing, didn't share anything about her business. She was just like, I just, you know, the work is just too difficult. Doing the business is too hard. You know, my work is getting in the way. The 9 to 5 job's getting in the way, all this stuff. Like, it sounded like someone who was like shutting down their business, right? And you would think, but she had such a great month, right? Or she started out the month so great, right? But the thing is, the fear of success got to her, right? And so it was very much like she was, in her mind, she was on the path to shutting down the business, of saying, why am I doing this? I don't really need to do this, right? And we literally got on the phone. It was very much, why are you working on this business, right? I had to ask her the question so she could give me the answer. I already knew the answer because she told me the answer like 2 months ago, but she seemed to have forgotten the answer, right? And so we had to get her back on she's doing this to set an example for her kids. She's doing this so that she can, you know, be flexible with her time, right? And get her energy back. She's doing this so she can spend more time with her husband, right? And get that freedom and flexibility, right? And so a big part of it is accountability in terms of when I work with clients and checking in, right? So it's checking in like, hey, what's up? Haven't heard from you. What's going on, right? And it's just having that person to knock on your door to say, I care, right? There's someone looking out for you, right? You may think that, okay, it's time for you to stop, but I'm giving you an alternative option, right? You can continue going, right? It doesn't have to be a stoplight, a stop sign. It could be a green light, right? And so let's keep moving you forward on what it is that you want to do, right? Because there's a reason. And I only work with people who are purpose-led. So I'm like, I know there's a reason that, you know, you are doing this business. I know there's a reason why you need to keep moving forward. So let's keep doing that together. So that's a big part of what I do, is accountability, is that support. Yeah.
Well, you know, I think she got a little success. She made that big sale, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think once that happens, if you haven't had that before, I think as excited as you are and as glad you do that, I think people tend to think, I can't believe I did this. And they start getting, like you say, that fear of success, afraid to take the next step. And so it's easy to go back in your comfort zone of, you know what, my 9 to 5 is really a pretty good job. I make good money, and it's, you know what I mean. So they kind of retreat back to that comfort zone. And was it hard for you to bring her back out of that?
It's one of those things where it was hard in the sense that, like when people aren't telling you anything, you're just like, so what's up? You're just messaging them, right? And they're just like responding. As they're responding, you kind of get a feel of what to do. That's what's difficult. But once I get people on the phone, magic, right? Once we start talking, like magic, right? And it's just a matter of just having someone there to like bounce ideas off of, right? Well, right, it's having someone there to bounce ideas off of, having someone there who you trust to like share those thoughts and opinions, right? And it's like creating that safe space for her to say, hey, Vanessa is here for me. Like, I don't need to do this alone. Let me just give her all the thoughts. So she really just like spill. It was kind of like spilling the beans, just like went and spill all the beans, right? Of what it is that she was thinking. And then from there, because of things where, I was a new entrepreneur at once. Like I dealt with the same thing, right? And there are other clients I have too that, are going to deal with, if they haven't already, deal with the same thing in terms of you get the success and it's just like easier to go back to the comfort zone, right? And part of what she was dealing with too was a little bit of imposter syndrome, right? It was a little bit of, she's doing digital marketing, but she like doesn't have a marketing degree, or she doesn't have a, like it's kind of like her 9 to 5's on project management. It's not in marketing, right? And so how dare she? Like, how could she? What? So a little bit of that too, that went into that as well. And for her, the solution I gave her was we worked through all her thoughts and essentially got her into affirmations, right? So affirmations back when I was at the beginning of my business was really, really important and really helpful. Now I don't really use them as much, but because now it's like all ingrained in my mind. But back in the day, essentially, it was really helpful for me when I was starting my business in terms of having affirmation, having statements, right, that sort of are the opposite of the terrible statements, right? Having positive statements that are the opposite of the negative statements. And that's what we set her up with was that. And then 2, we're actually connecting later today for a in-depth, more like time management. I have like a time management workshop I work with my clients on, a 101, where we just like dive deep into, okay, you're 9 to 5, like how are you doing this? How are you balancing out? Like hour by hour. I literally sit with them hour by hour. And that also helps people too in terms of seeing, what is the space available to them and how can they effectively and efficiently say no to some things and say yes to other things. So yeah.
Yeah, saying no is hard for a lot of people.
It is. It is.
It is. Going back to what you were saying, about the safe space, and I think that really, for a lot of people, knowing that they can be free and talk to you, you've got the empathy for them, you've been there, you know how they feel. And so I think having that really helps people to kind of break down to that level and then say, okay, this, but then you start to build them back up, and they're receptive to that because you were there. You didn't criticize, you listened, you advised, but you supported them. And then once they get that feeling, then okay, she's here for me. I can do it. She says I can do it. I know I can do it. So I think that's really important.
It is. It really is important. And the thing is that when it comes to the beginning of entrepreneurship, and I mean, maybe you two felt this, I don't know, when you started out your podcast, maybe not, but essentially a lot of it is a lot of mindset, right? It's a lot of, getting through all those thoughts that you had that come up, right? And whether it's a fear of success, fear of failure, whether it's imposter syndrome, whether it's thinking that your idea is not worth it, right? Even though whether it's thinking that there's so many other people doing your idea, so like, do you really need to do your idea? And all the things that come up. So yeah.
Yeah, just mentioned that. That's like us. We said, well, what the heck? Let's just give it a try and see what happens. What's the worst we can do?
Indeed. It's lovely. It's great. And you guys have each other, right, to support each other. And it's great. It's amazing. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, we've lived it for sure. The uncertainty. Should we not? What if? We said, well, heck, let's just do it and see what happens.
No, I love it. It is great. It's great that you're like being able to have this platform and share people's stories. I love it. It's great.
Thank you. Yeah. And it is, I think it is important too, because with that, the uncertainties and the fears comes anxiety. Mm-hmm. And having someone like you there that does you know, it does help having somebody there. Like again, you said Roy is there. And so, you know,
Yeah.
there are moments where, you know, I get anxious because this is not the only thing that we do. And there are times where it can be overwhelming, but then I keep thinking, oh my goodness, with the things that I've done in my past, how the heck do I have, how can I even be anxious? Like, you know, I packed up and left and went and bought an auto repair shop, you know, and if I can do that, I should be able to do anything.
Yeah, indeed. It's just, you know, reminding yourself of those things, you know, sometimes,
Exactly.
because when in that one project, that one thing, it's very easy to just get stuck in that one project and that one, you know, what you're doing this podcast right now, and it's easy to forget everything else that you've done that led up to this podcast, right? And everything else that will come afterwards, right? And so, yeah,
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, we're each other's accountability partner. We're each other's safe space.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Basically, I mean, you know. So how can our listeners get a hold of you?
Great question. So the easiest way to get a hold of me is they also link vzamy.com. So V and then my last name, ZAM as in money, Y.com. And so vzamy.com, and then it'll take them to a link for a community. So I have a community of ambitious, purpose-led solopreneurs. And so that is essentially it's a private Facebook group. So you're welcome to sign up for that group if you use that link, and it'll get you to the most latest page to sign up for the group. And in that group, I do monthly boot camps. So actually, we just wrapped up our business boot camp this past week, where I go into, you know, day one was how do you eliminate I'm busy from your vocabulary? You know, how do you redefine time management for yourself? How do you then attract clients and customers beyond the friends and family, right? And then how do you also, you know, keep them coming back for more? So marketing as well too, go in depth in that too. And then also provide, you know, one-off workshops as well too. So yesterday was on like fee versus paid marketing. Next week, I'm doing something on marketing strategy. So setting people up for success in marketing strategy 2021. And so I do this. Oh, and then I also go live every day too in the group. So the group has a lot of stuff. Community has a lot of stuff. So join the community, vzamy.com. Yeah, I go live every day. I give like 5 to 15 minute like business tips, either around mindset, goal setting, strategy, marketing, sales, time, all that jazz. So there's a lot of resources in that group. And so you're welcome to go on vzamy.com, vzamy.com. So yes.
As this is over, I'm going to go sign into your group.
Oh, great. Okay. Lovely. Looking forward to it. Yes.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else, LaurieAnn?
I believe that everything's been answered that I had questions for. I really appreciate your time, Vanessa. Seriously, this was really good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you so
Thank you for
much.
having me.
And I'm going to go into your group because I want to see what you got.
Awesome. Yes.
I think you got a lot to offer, and I want to get some of it.
Now, do you have a way of kicking people out if they become disruptive?
Oh, yes.
No trolls allowed.
Exactly. This is a community. We got, you know, we're at 460 entrepreneurs. So, you know, yes, no trolls allowed. No trolls allowed. Only positive vibes. Positive
All right.
vibes.
Cool.
All right.
Thanks a lot for being with us, Vanessa. It was a pleasure to meet you.
You as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Chat soon.
Thank you.
Sure.
Bye-bye.